press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Namaste children. In our last class we started topic evolution. Let us continue with this topic. So organic evolution, which is most accepted theory of evolution. So this represents the organic evolution. So in the presence of high temperature, that means with a high temperature, when the sun is made directly responsible for temperature. So in the presence of high temperature, lightning and heavy rain, the free atoms, they reacted and they formed simple inorganic molecules like hydrogen, water vapor, ammonia and methane. And these molecules, in presence of these conditions, again they reacted and they formed simple sugars, amino acids, fatty acids, glycerol, nitrogen bases, etc. That is nothing but first simple organic compounds were formed, and this gave rise to complex proteins, fats, nucleic acids. That composition of these complex organic compounds in the sea is called aldane soup or prebiotic soup. So this gave rise to life forms. See here, free atoms gave rise to. So all this happened in the presence of these conditions. Understood? Lightning, rain and high temperature is responsible for this formation of simple to complex. That from free atoms they form simple inorganic molecules and they give rise to first simple organic compounds like simple sugars, amino acids, fatty acids, glycerol, etc. And these simple organic compounds gave rise to complex organic compounds. That means amino acids joined together to form proteins, fatty acids and glycerol. These monomers gave rise to polymers called fats, and glucose gave rise to carbohydrates. Nitrogen bases gave rise to nucleic acid. Like this, from the simple organic compounds we get complex organic compounds. These are called as first non-cellular form of life. These are considered as first non-cellular form of life that gave rise to life form. So first cellular form of life appeared 4 billion years ago or 500 million years after the formation of Earth, whereas the first non-cellular form of life was formed 3 billion years back. Understood? This is about the organic evolution, and we already discussed this was proved experimentally by Stanley and Miller. So let's go with the evolution of life theories. So in the evolution of life, so conventional religious literature gave a theory called special creation. Who gave this theory? Conventional religious literature gave a theory called special creation, and this gave three connotations. In that, first one is, this theory tells that the organisms are created as such, however they are created as such. So this told organisms are created as such since birth, since origin. So what it tells, the first connotation tells the organisms, what we see the present organisms, they are created as such since origin. The second connotation tells the diversity among organisms remains same since birth and also in future. So what we see, different forms of lives, it is diversity. The diversity what we see among the organisms, they are same since birth and they are going to be same in future also. So the third connotations was earth formed years back. So the life of earth was 4,000 years old. So this special creation is not easily accepted because we know that this theory is telling us organisms are created as such since the origin, they are created as such, and diversity remains same since birth and it is going to remain same in future also. But we know that organic evolution, what it tells us, organisms arose from simple form into complex form, and earth was formed nearly 4.5 billion years back, not 4,000 years back. So this theory is not easily accepted, but they may ask in your competitive exams. So according to special creation, what was the first connotation, what is the second or third, like this, for that you have to read. Then Charles Darwin, he gave some statements about the evolution of life. So he did see voyage. So Charles Darwin, this is very important, ship name called, this is the ship name. He did sea voyage by using ship name HMS Beagle around the world. Charles Darwin, he took ship HMS Beagle and he went around the world. After his journey, he told that organisms are not only shared similarities among themselves, they also share similarities with the existed animals which are present million years back. So Charles Darwin in ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, after going around the world in a ship called HMS Beagle, he told that organisms not only share similarities among themselves, but also they share similarities with the existed organisms which were present million years back. And he told that during this evolution, some life forms have become extinct. Some life forms have become extinct, giving rise to new form of life. New form of life arose where some life has become extinct. Understood? So, according to him, life forms not only share similarities among themselves, the present life forms, not only share similarities among themselves, but also with the existed animals existed back. So what he told? Present life forms not only share similarities among themselves, these organism life forms also share similarities, with the existed life forms of million years back. With this evolution, some life forms have become extinct. Some life forms have become extinct, and some life forms arose or new life form has become exist. So he also told fitness. The organisms which are able to fit themselves in the changes which occurs in the environment are able to leave their progeny more when compared to others. So what he tells, organisms during the evolution which shows variations means those organisms should adjust themselves or to adopt themselves to the changes that occurs in the environment. That organisms which are able to adopt themselves to that variations are able to reproduce, and they are able to leave their progeny in more number when compared to others. That is reproductive fitness. The organisms, nature selects the organisms which shows variations. So those are the things given by Charles Darwin. So Charles Darwin, what he told the present life forms not only share similarities among themselves, but also these organisms share similarities among the existed life forms, those are present million years back. And during this course of evolution, some life forms have become extinct by adopting or by showing modification among themselves. They changed into another form. That means that gave rise to new form of life. And organisms which shows variations, that means which are able to adjust or adopt to the changes which occurring in the environment, that is nothing but nature selects that fitted progeny or a fitted species. So these fitted species are able to leave more number of progeny when compared to others. That is nothing but reproductive fitness. So at the same time, naturalist Alfred Wallace, he also did the studies in Malay archipelago. So he also, this naturalist also did the same studies about the evolution in Malay archipelago. And he also gave the same conclusions what the Charles Darwin gave us. Understood? What all the things told about the evolution by Charles Darwin, the same conclusion got by the Alfred Wallace after studying the life forms in Malay archipelago. Understood? So this is very important. One more question. Name the ship through which Charles Darwin went sea voyage. HMS Beagle, or name the evolutionist who gave the same conclusions what the Charles Darwin gave about the evolution of life. Alfred Wallace. Where he did studies? He studied in Malay archipelago. Understood? So this is about the concept given by Charles Darwin and Alfred Wallace about the evolution of life. Then coming to the evidences for evolution. See, this organic evolution is a slow process and we cannot be seen and it cannot be demonstrated. Only it can be proved by giving proper evidences. So, under this we have many evidences which helps us in the study about evolution, that is evidences from paleontology, like that evidences from comparative anatomy and morphology, like this we have evidences from connecting links, evidences from connecting links, evidences from atavism or reversion, evidences from natural selection, evidences from anthropogenic action, biochemistry evidence, biochemistry and physiological evidence, and embryological evidences. So, these are all the evidences which helps us to prove organic evolution. Understood? Evidences from paleontology, comparative anatomy and morphology, connecting links, atavism, natural selection, anthropogenic action, evidences from biochemistry and physiological studies, and embryological evidences, and also evidences from vestigial organs. So, these are all helps us in the study about organic evolutions. In this class, we are going to study about evidences from paleontology and evidences from comparative anatomy and morphology. Understood? Evidences from paleontology. Paleontological evidences. Paleontology means study of fossils. See, paleontological evidences or evidences from paleontology means this paleontology, logy means study about fossils is called paleontology. So, what are fossils? They are remnants of hard parts, of life found in rocks or in earth crust. So, what are fossils? They are nothing but remnants of hard parts of life found in rocks or in earth crust. This study about fossils were first initiated by Leonard B. Vinci. He is called as father of The first study about fossils were initiated by Leonardo da Vinci. He is considered as father of paleontology, but one more name is there, George Cuvier is considered as father of modern paleontology. He is considered as father of modern paleontology. Understood? So, how these fossils are going to be formed? There are different types of fossils. Unaltered fossils, that means we get whole body of an organism, that is unaltered fossils. This type of fossils we get in polar regions. There are different types of fossils. Unaltered fossils, petrified fossils, mold fossils, print fossils, cast fossils, coptophils fossils. Like that we have different types of fossils. Unaltered fossils means we get whole organism as it when it was dead, without any alter we get that organism, that is called unaltered fossils. This type of fossils we find mainly in polar regions. Petrified fossils are nothing but they are the remnants of hard parts of life, like hard parts of life like bones and teeth. So these type of fossils are very important because we are getting this type of fossils in more. That's why this helps us in study about organic evolution when compared to other fossils. Understood? And mold fossils means we get impression of that organism. Print fossils, here we see footprint or leaves stem impression. And cast means here also we get fossils, and the excreta of organisms are also used in the study about fossils. Excreta of organisms are also used in the study about fossils. Understood? So in this type of fossils, petrified fossils are very important. So they are nothing but this type of fossils contain remnants of hard parts of life like bones and teeth that helps us in the study about evolution. Then, see, these fossils were formed when sediment of rocks is going to be formed like this. This is the surface of earth. This is the bottom layer. So every year layer of sediment, rock sediment is going to be formed by the process called mineralization of rocks. So like this, when the sediment is going to be formed, if any organisms dies, this is an organism, so that is also covered by sediment layer, that is also covered by sedimented layer, then it will be converted into fossil. So like this, every year layer of rock is going to be formed, sedimentation occurs, and somehow we can see one more form of life died, and that is also covered by sedimented. So like this, so the rocks, when the sedimentation of rocks occurs, the organisms which were died during that particular period, they are going to covered by the soil and they become fossil. When we take section of earth, cross section of earth, we see different layer of sedimentation which is having fossils, different layers of fossils, different types of fossils are present in different layers of sedimentation of rocks. When we dig the soil, we get these fossils, understood? If this is 500-meter deep and this, if we find the fossil here nearly 100-meter deep, so the fossils which get in the upper layer shows that it is recently died organisms, or the one we get in the deeper layer shows us the older organisms which died millions of years back. And this fossils which we find in the upper layer also helps us to know how this complex form of life has evolved from simple form of life, because the fossil we get in the deeper layer shows simpler form of life when compared to the fossils we get in the upper layers. The fossils we get in the deeper layer are simpler form, and the fossils we get in the upper layers they show complex form. So by using these fossils, we can study how the simple form of life has evolved into complex form of life. And this study about fossils helps us to know the geological period also. That means this fossil may exist 2000 million years ago. This may form nearly 1000 million years ago. This fossil is formed during the particular geographical period or where the sedimentation of that particular layer of rock occurs, understood? So like this the fossils are going to be formed in the layer of rocks. So how does study about fossils helps us? So study about fossils helps to know it helps to study phylogeny. It helps to study phylogeny. Phylogeny means evolutionary history. Phylogeny means evolutionary history. Example for this we can write horse evolution. The horse evolution, Eohippus is ancestor 1 and Equus is modern 1. Like in human evolution, Dryopithecus is ancestor 1 and Homo sapiens is a modern 1. So like this, the study about fossils helps us to study of phylogeny of an organisms. Study of phylogeny of an organisms, or to know the evolutionary history of that particular organism. Like in the evolution of horse, Eohippus, this is an ancestor horse and Equus is a modern horse. From this to this to occur, it took millions of years. That means the changes occurred this form to this form to see, that will take millions of years. And in human evolution also, Dryopithecus represents ancestor 1 and that changed into present 1, that is Homo sapiens, that is modern 1. Like this, study of fossils helps us to study of phylogeny of an organism. And this study of fossils also helps us to know the connecting link between, to study the connecting link between two group of organisms. helps to study the connecting link between two group of organisms. Example, Archaeopteryx. So it shows both characteristics of birds and reptiles. It is a connecting link between these two group of organisms. This bird, this one Archaeopteryx, it shows similarities like birds by the presence of beak and feathers. And it shows similarities like reptiles, the presence of teeth and skeletal system like reptiles. Skeletal system like reptiles. So like this, study about fossils helps us to study the connecting link between two groups of organisms. Archaeopteryx shows beak and feathers like birds, and also the teeth, arrangement of teeth and skeletal system like reptiles. And this fossil study also helps us to know about the extinct species. It helps us to know about extinct species. Example, Dinosaurus. Understood? The study about fossils helps us to know about the extinct species, to know, and they helps in the study about extinct species. And also the study about fossils helps us to know particular geographical period. Particular geographical period. By analyzing the fossils present in sedimentary layers of rocks. Study about fossils helps us to know the particular geographical period. It helps us to know the particular geographical period by analyzing the fossils present in the layer of sedimentary rocks. So that tells us the geological history of Earth correlates with the biological history of Earth. The geological history means the particular type of species were going to live in the particular place in a particular time. Nothing but geological history. So the geological history correlates with the biological history of Earth. But also we know that study about fossils helps us to know how the present complex form of life have evolved from simpler form of life. So this is about the paleontological studies. Evidences about the evolution. So how we are going to calculate the age of an fossil? So this is not for your PU. Just to know age of fossil is calculated by carbon dating technique. So age of fossils can be calculated by using carbon, potassium, uranium, etc. But most commonly used technique is carbon dating technique given by Libby. It's given by Libby. So we know that organic matter of Earth consists of various elements having their own atomic number, and these elements will exist in two or more other forms, that is isotopes. So we saw carbon exists in two isotopes, carbon 12 and carbon 14. So we know that carbon 12 and 14 both are utilized by plants during photosynthesis, for the formation of glucose, and that glucose is utilized by herbivores or heterotrophs. Like this, the carbon will enter into living organisms from the atmosphere. In these isotopes, this is stable form of radioactive isotope. This is unstable form of radioactive isotope. So this is stable form of radioactive isotope. So when the organisms died, this carbon will be stable, it will be present as it is, but this carbon isotope which is unstable will undergo decay process. It will undergo decay process, as this carbon isotope, carbon 12 isotope will not undergo decay process because it is a stable one, whereas this carbon 14 is unstable. Once the organisms dies, it will undergo decay in the course of time at a steady rate to convert itself into to form a non-radioactive isotopes that is nitrogen 14, to form a non-radioactive isotope nitrogen 14, that is called of life and measured in units of years. So this conversion from this carbon 14 to carbon 14 radioactive isotope to non-radioactive isotope nitrogen 14, that is called, that time taken for this conversion is called of life, and that is measured in unit of years. So by using this of life, they'll calculate the age of fossil. That means if this is a dead organism, immediately when the organism dies, in that we see 100% of carbon 14. So after 100% will become 50% of carbon 14, other 50% will be converted into nitrogen 14. For this 100% ididu 50% agake, what the time it will take for decay process is called of life, but carbon it is 5730 years. For this conversion of carbon 14 to nitrogen 14, carbon 14 to nitrogen 14, it will take 5730 years. That time is called of life. Understood? So if that organism is containing 50% carbon 14, another 15% nitrogen 14, means it is existed 5730 years back anta heli. Understood? And this 50% again it will go convert to 25%. So that time we have to multiply 5730 into 2. Like this they are going to calculate the age of fossils. Understood? So carbon dating technique alli en ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, they use this unstable radioactive isotopes to calculate the age of a fossil, because as it is unstable, once the organism dies, it will undergo decay and convert itself into non-radioactive isotopes called nitrogen 14. For this conversion, what the time taken by this carbon is called of life, that is 5730 years. So like this 100% is converted into 100% into 50% agake, it will take 5730 years, and again 50%, again it will 25% agake, we have to multiply 5730 into 2. Like this they are going to calculate age of the fossils. Understood? So this is not needed, but just to know how they are going to calculate the age of a fossils. So most ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳುವಂತದಂದ್ರೆ how the age of fossils are going to be calculated? They are going to be calculated by using carbon, potassium and uranium. These are the radioactive isotopes. By using the off-life, they are going to calculate age of fossils. Off-life of carbon is 5730 years. Off-life of potassium is 1300 million years. And uranium off-life is 4.5 billion years. Among these, the most one we use to calculate off-life age of fossils is carbon dating technique given by Libby. Understood? So this is about the study about fossils and how to find the age of fossils. So nimge question baruvantadu, what is paleontology? Study about fossils is called paleontology. And what are the benefits we get by the studying the fossils? So fossils are, what are fossils? They are nothing but remnants of all parts of life found in rocks or in earth crust. So what are the benefits we get, or what are the evidences we get from the fossils in the which helps in study about evolution antandre? The study about fossils helps us in the study about phylogeny of an organisms. Study about phylogeny means to know the evolutionary life of that particular organism. It helps in study about phylogeny of an organism, and it helps in studying connecting link between two groups of organisms. Example, Archaeopteryx, and it helps in study about extinct species, and also it helps in study about particular geographical period in which by analyzing the formation of fossils in a particular sediment of rock, and also it helps us to know how the present complex form of life have evolved from simpler ones. And most common technique we use to calculate the age of fossil is carbon dating technique given by Libby. Ishtu nimige gottidre saku. So next, evidence for evolution will go with by comparative morphology and anatomy. So what is morphology? Morphology is nothing but study of external structures or external features or external structures of an organism. Anatomy means study about internal organs. Study about internal organs is nothing but anatomy. Understood? Under this, today we will discuss about homologous organs and analogous organs. See, these homologous organs, homo means same. Here the organs, they show similar in origin and structure, but they perform different functions. Organs shows similar in origin and structure, and perform different functions. So organs which are similar in origin and structure and performing different functions come under homologous organs. And study about homologous organs is called homology. Homology means study about homologous organs is called homology. For these examples, homologous organs examples in animals. So in animals, forelimbs which are made up of humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals and phalanges. So last year in skeletal system we read this. So this is a humerus. The humerus we have, roughly I am drawing. This is radius and ulna. They give rise to carpals, then metacarpals, then we get phalanges like this. So these forelimbs which are made up of humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals and phalanges, forelimbs in cheetah, helps in running. So these forelimbs in man helps in holding objects. Forelimbs in whales helps in swimming, whereas in bat helps in flying. See here, origin. See what they are telling, they are similar in origin and structure. All the forelimbs of cheetah, man, whales and bat are made up of bones called humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals and phalanges. Origin and structure is same, but this forelimb in cheetah helps in running, this forelimb in man helps in holding objects, forelimbs in whales helps in swimming, forelimbs in bat helps in flying. The function is different. Origin and structure is same, whereas function is different. There are examples for homologous organs in animals. So in plants we have these are thorns seen in See, in plants, we see the thorns which arise from auxiliary bud, and here the tendrils which also arise from auxiliary bud. They are similar in origin, but the function is thorn is also arise from auxiliary bud. Tendril is also arise from auxiliary bud, but the function is different. This thorn helps in protection. That means predators will not eat the leaves because these thorns will prick the predators. So this mainly helps in protection, and tendrils helps to climb the host plant. So here the function is different, but the origin is same. Thorns and tendrils are both arise from auxiliary bud, but the function is different. Thorns mainly helps in protection, tendrils helps in climbing the host plant. So thorns is seen in bougainvillea, tendrils are seen in cucurbita. This is about the homologous organs, and these homologous organs show divergent evolution. They show divergent evolution. Divergent evolution means they show different functions. In this, the organs are similar in origin and structure, but they show different functions. These different functions led to divergent evolution. Understood? We'll go with one more comparative study, that is analogous organs. So in the analogous organs show dissimilar in or different in origin and structure, but they perform same function. So this type of evolution with that is they show convergent evolution. Convergent means same type of function. So for these examples, see analogous, ana means different. Study about analogous organs is called analogy. It's called analogy. They nothing but organs show different in origin and structure, but they perform same functions. This type of organs show convergent evolution. That means all they do the common function, that shows convergent evolution. It's an example for convergent evolution. Examples for analogous organs in animals, we have insects' wings of insects, and wings of birds. Wings of insects and wings of birds. Here the wings of insects are made up of flap of chitin. It's made up of flap of chitin. Whereas birds, wings of birds are supported by bones. They are supported by bones, or they are modified forelimbs. They are modified forelimbs. So this is example for analogous organs. So in the insects, wings are not supported by bones. They are nothing but thin flap of chitin. Here the bird's wings are supported by bones. They are modified forelimbs. The origin is different, but here these wings helps in flying, and here also the wings helps in flying. Examples for analogous organs. Understood? In the insects' wings, they are made up of chitin. They are nothing but flap of chitin, thin flap of chitin that helps in flying. So origin is different in both. Here the wings of birds are modified forelimbs which are supported by bone. So here also the wings helps in flying. Here also they helps in flying. So this shows analogous organs. And another examples in animals, we have eyes of octopus and man. Retina of the octopus is formed by the skin, where retina of the man is formed in the by the embryonic brain. The retinal formation is from different structure, but the function is same, that they both helps in vision. Retina in both octopus and in man helps in vision. So another example is eyes of octopus and eyes of man. So in octopus, retina is formed by skin. It is formed by skin. Whereas in man, retina is formed by embryonic brain. Origin is different, but in both these organisms, retina helps in vision. Understood? So these are again examples for analogous organs in animals. And analogous organs in plants, we have sweet potato and potato. So a sweet potato, it is so genusu anta heltivalla, that is sweet potato, and alugede. So this sweet potato is root modification. It shows root modification, whereas this potato shows stem modification. So see here, this sweet potato is root modification, but the function is to store the food. Potato shows stem modification, but the function is to store the food. Understood? So origin is different, but the function is same. In both we see the storage of food. That is examples for analogous organs in plants. Understood? So sweet potato shows root modification, but main function is to store the food. Even potato, which shows stem modification, the main function is storage of food. So these are examples for analogous organs in plants. So in your exam, they may ask, write the difference between homologous and analogous organs with examples by giving example in plants or by giving examples in animals. Have a particular questions barutte. You should read the question properly before answering that. Understood? So next class we will discuss about other evidences that helps in the study about evolution. Thank you.